Hello, welcome to another episode of Tigers, blah, blah, blah. We've got a couple of mentions to do just before we begin recording. First of all, thanks to Danny Johnson and Hull City Ladies for sponsoring us. I know that me and Rich are going to be new converts. We'll go and watch some of their games when it finally restarts. Rich is my co-host. He's here.
I am here. I am planning on going to see some games. Yeah, we couldn't not return the favour, could we? Go and lend some support to the ladies, the Tigresses. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so that should be good. There's down at Ferriby, so we'll be going down there a few times this coming season once it does start. And then there's just another.
We would encourage everyone to join us.
Oh, we would. they need, yeah. City in both guises, male and female. So this podcast will cover them both eventually once we actually do get the season going up again, which is always a nice positive. And then we've also got Fan Hub. We've had a bit of a discussion with FanHub_football on Twitter if you want to check them out. It's a new app that's launching soon, end of the month, I believe. And it's the app that recognises and rewards fans for supporting their football club. So it's all about putting fans first. So if you give them a search, they're in our Twitter bio. So have a look, and they want City fans especially to sign up. So we've got a good episode today, Rich, haven't we?
Yeah,
2 in 1. Yeah,
2 in 1, and some nice talking points. So yeah.
So we're gonna do the same. We're gonna do the good, the bad, and the number.
Yeah, we're not necessarily going to break both games down individually because
that'd take forever.
Yeah, we could go on at length.
To be fair, the less said about the Boro game, the better for the majority of it.
Yeah, it was a dog of a game, wasn't it?
It was awful, wasn't it? But at least we got the right result, you know.
It was funny because I think I mentioned on the podcast last week that it was my wife's birthday yesterday, coincided with the West Brom game.
Yes.
And she was saying to her mother on the phone, she's like, well, when he's watching football, there's just an awful lot of swearing. So we'll have that to look forward to. And I don't swear that much. It's just that Middlesbrough was horrendous.
It really was, though. It was frustrating, wasn't it? But brilliant at the end.
Yeah, it was. It was.
That soon.
Yeah.
So we've got a good and a bad each, and then a number. So we'll get to those shortly. First of all, we're going to do the good. So we'll be back in a second. And we'll talk about both of our picks for the good of the two games. Be right back. Obviously, we're going to do our good first. Rich, it's always good to start with something positive.
Yes.
And obviously, we've got 2 games to choose from. So we're going to probably talk about both games in relation to the good and bad. I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll go with you first. I always like to let you go first. It's just what we started, and I've just continued that trend. But,
you just like putting me on the spot just to make sure I'm prepared.
Oh, I know you always are, though. You're more prepared than me half the time. You're good for the last 2 games against Middlesbrough. Obviously, just to recap, we obviously had that awful game against Middlesbrough, which we did win.
Yes.
In the end. And
I mean, as if we can be so picky to talk about a game in which we won against a relegation rival and call it an awful game.
I know, but
there's been so many wins that we can be critical about the ones that do come along.
I mean, we'll get to numbers later on, but it was the first game in a long time that we've actually been able to celebrate a win.
Yes.
But part of it, I mean, I was really tempted when I know it's not my good, it's your good, but I was really tempted to just put Neil Warnock's face as my good. Because Colin Wanker was fuming, wasn't he?
I took a screen grab of Warnock's face at the end of the game.
So did I.
I sent it to my family who've got a City WhatsApp, and I sent it to everyone and just said, what is the name of this drug and can I snort it?
I could just... Did you seen all the Neil Warnock videos that like do the rounds on Twitter?
Yeah.
When he's in the dressing room and he's just laying into his players.
Yeah, just having a go at Chris Morgan.
Fucking hellfire!
I didn't know he was from Gould.
So yeah, loved that. That was brilliant. But obviously we've got the West Brom game as well to talk about in the same thing. So what was your pick over the 2 games?
Well, mine covers both games really, and also a little bit before, because we had some rare good news coming out of the club this week in Malik Wilks. So he's my positive
Good choice. Good choice.
So, I mean, we're able to talk about his signing. I thought it was.
Yep.
I mean, we don't know obviously how much he's been signed for,
Mm.
because I think it was an undisclosed fee, wasn't it?
Usually our City.
Yeah, yeah.
Iab don't like talking about money.
No, well, if he did, he'd have to redact it, and we all know that doesn't
We all
go
know
well.
what happens then. Maybe he'll send an email with the redacted out, and we could just paste it into Word.
Yeah, possibly. So yeah, we don't know how much they've paid for Malik Wilks, but I thought it was a very good bit of business.
Yeah, I agree.
To make sure that one of our, or really now our only remaining consistent goal threat is still a City player. I think had we lost him to Barnsley, especially after the week or 10 days that we'd had. With all the negative coverage coming out of the club, it would have just been another pile-on, I think. And I know that Wilks is a player that divides opinion with certain City fans, because I know that the way that City's excellent social media team announced.
Ben's house in particular was absolutely, he won the day for me.
Yeah, I mean the way they announced it was brilliant. It was almost like
it was the ... And I was just like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And then you could see all of them slagging him on the post.
Yeah,
it's just like redact that really quickly.
He's awful, blah blah blah. It just all it needed was just
a bit awkward.
Just somebody to put that GIF, the "that's bait" GIF.
Yeah,
that's all it needed.
Either that. The Homer Simpson going into the bush.
Yeah. But yeah, just to get him signed, I think had we lost him, it's another thing where you're thinking, well, we're weaker now than we were, the last game or at the end of the first stint of the season.
Yeah.
So to get him signed up, I think was really good. And like I say, I know people are critical, but the lad's only 21.
Yeah, I mean, he gets himself into great positions.
He does.
This against Brom, like when we was playing when we were playing Birmingham, there was a couple of chances where he really got into great positions, but there was a great tackle at the end, or he just either fluffed his lines or whatever, and that'll be rust. Of course it is, because he's not played for so long, and he didn't play for Barnsley really at all before he came to us, did he?
No. I mean, sometimes his decision making is a little bit suspect. I think before he scored his winner against Middlesbrough, he'd worked himself into another excellent shooting
he blazed
position.
over the bar.
Yeah, and I put on Twitter something like that shit Wilks, and I don't think I'd finished sending the tweet before he'd scored. So he made me look like a mug, but I'm
yeah, but you'll be happy about that, because
and no player is beyond criticism. So I'm a believer in his abilities, and I think Burnsy said after the game yesterday on the radio that he felt a little bit the same about him. Wasn't quite sure about him, but five goals in 10 games.
Well, you see, when we picked our teams, when we had Bobby on before the Charlton game, you'd put Wilks in and just said, I want him in because of goals. Yeah. And you were right about that, because he's one of the only players who's stepping up and making the...
He's the only consistent goal threat that we seem to have. And I think he's good at working his way into, dangerous opportunities. He had a couple yesterday where, arguably he might have been able to score a hat-trick again yesterday.
Yeah, he could have done. I actually do think that, that run was great, and then it was hard to put it off a bar, I think. That
one mazy run and then the finish. I don't know if it was down to the pressure that he skied it, but really he should be scoring.
He should be at least making the keeper work there, I think.
Yeah, but, his age, I think, will forgive him that, and he's not quite working on the same quality level as somebody like Jarrod Bowen, who maybe might be capable of a similar kind of run, but then his finishing was miles better.
It did have the look of Bowen a little bit, that run, didn't it?
A little bit, yeah. That kind of thing where it's like he can't keep going, can he? He's beating everybody. He's
keep going, the lads, yeah.
Yeah, and then the finish was just lacking, but he took his goal very well against Middlesbrough. His finish was fantastic. I thought he put it wide, but then
it was outside of his left.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you watch it back, the way that he shapes his foot, and it was an absolutely...
It's great technique, that.
I mean,
because the keeper was going to clatter him and all.
The knockdown off device. There was a lad on Twitter, and I can't remember his name, But if he listens, he'll know who he is. But he said it was the most Nick Barmby thing that he's seen at the
Oh, I
KC since
saw
Nick
that.
Barmby retired.
I
And
saw that.
I
Yeah,
thought that was the
that's a
perfect
really
way
good
to
compliment.
describe that. Yeah, it was such a lovely header into his path. And then the finish when you watch it back, particularly in the replays, because I don't think certainly I didn't appreciate it at first viewing, but the way
No.
he wraps his foot around it, like the outside of his boot, it was the only way he could have hit it, I think, for it to go in, and it was the only point in the goal maybe where he could have got it in. So
Yeah.
it's just a brilliant finish. And then his equaliser yesterday for the 2-2 goal. It was a really good header.
It was great ball in by Leo as well. It was
The whole move was brilliant. I mean, Josh McGuinness had another
holding
cracking
it
game
up.
yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he did. I thought because I saw a lot of City fans having a go at McGuinness, and I thought he ran himself into the ground for the team.
I thought he did all right.
He wasn't a goal threat, but he didn't really play that role. It was more Wilkes who looked like he was going to score to me.
Yeah,
we looked dangerous from set pieces. So again, if he's in there with the headers, he'd be all right. And it was Stewart who actually scored the first goal, wasn't it? But
yeah, best left foot in the league.
Best left foot in the league. We said that before. I love that it cannoned off Charlie Austin as well, just after he scored that.
Yeah, and he beat Grzycki to it as well. That was quite
well.
Nice.
He was flat-footed. We've seen him do that before for City, haven't we? Lax marking from a corner.
We have.
So, but yeah, I mean, on Wilkes, I'm just looking back at my timeline here because I looked back at it and I was like, that's quite funny actually. Phil Buckingham had posted a piece about what Gerhard Struber had said, which is basically that he didn't track back. That's why I got rid of him. So, and I'm looking at the timestamp. This is 3:21 p.m. on July the 2nd, so like an hour and a half before kickoff, just over. I put so in short, they got rid of him because he doesn't track back. Hope Malik Wilkes uses this as an opportunity to prove him wrong and bag tonight. Got himself into great positions versus Birmingham, but lacked finishing. And then I retweeted myself after the game and put...
That's always a good look.
So Malik Wilkes reads my tweets.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you say, mate.
And I'm also just looking at my timeline here and I've retweeted Johnny Shoegaze, who's obviously a City fan, and it's just a screenshot of Colin Wanker looking pissed off. And it just says, inject it in my veins. So, yeah, thanks for that one, Johnny. That was good. But, yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said on Wilkes. I think he's looking promising. He is
looking very promising. I'd just like to credit that Jordi Device, Nick Barmby comparison. That's to a lad called Lee Nicholas on Twitter at Brabbin's Gut. I just thought it was one of the best things I've seen. Yeah. But yeah, he's looking very promising. 21, and evidently keen to be here, keen to work with the manager. And he's flying for us at the moment. He looks confident, and goals in back-to-back games will do him the world of good.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to be going to Bristol with him as well, because we did so well going forward in a lot of ways.
Yes,
against West Brom especially. If the defence, I mean, we'll talk about the defence later, I think, but if the defence was a bit more rigid, we could have nicked a point or maybe even a win there. Bristol are not going to be the same team because they've just got rid of the manager. They've not got a new one. They've got a caretaker, haven't they? And also, you've got to remember that they're safe and can't go in the playoffs, so they're going to be on the beach, aren't they, really, in their heads?
Well, what beaches are they going to?
Probably anywhere near Bristol. Because it's near the south coast. I mean, it's underneath Wales, so they could...
It's near enough, but I doubt they're turning up on the beaches of Dorset with 500,000 people and 33 tons of rubbish. I don't know, maybe that's our defence.
Maybe it is, yeah. Well, more, I think we'll talk about that one later, to be honest. But I mean, I'm hopeful for that game. So it's Wednesday, isn't it, the Bristol one?
Yes, yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. My positive that I wanted...
Yeah, what's your positive?
Sorry, my positive was Honeyman.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
He started, I thought he would... I didn't think he would start Honeyman, but he made the right call because Honeyman's deliveries, set pieces, was ridiculous.
It was one of our threats of the day.
Say again, sorry?
It was one of our threats of the day.
It really was. When we'd conceded against, we'd conceded after 4 minutes, and it was Samuelson who gave a stupid free kick away. We didn't defend it well. It was awful defending, but don't give away the free kick in the first place. But anyway, we then
didn't have much of an impact, did he?
No, not at all. I think he did 3 fouls, and that was all he did. He didn't do
I don't
anything
know.
else.
I honestly don't know how he can foul anyone though, because he doesn't look big
And
enough.
he looks really lightweight, but he'd put people on the deck and all sorts.
Yeah.
But anyway, after that, when we started having the bit of the ball and settling it down a bit, every time like Terrell looked dangerous, and every time that they either canned off for a corner, I felt like we were going to score from corners because I was gutted about Kane not, obviously Kane's out for the season. But Honeyman coming in and taking over corner duties, we looked so dangerous from them. And then it was obviously Kevin Stewart we scored from the first one. And we looked, the thing I thought was the drinks break broke it up a bit. We looked like it was in the ascendancy, and we had a drinks break, and we kind of got on the back foot a bit, and then 10 minutes later we're 2-1 down.
Yeah, it just allowed them to regroup a little bit, didn't it?
It did, yeah. So I think we need to be wise of those drinks breaks. I think they can break games up too much. But I mean, again, Honeyman for me was one of the. I don't think he'll get the credit as much as somebody like Wilkes or Terrell.
Possibly not. I think the thing with Honeyman is that we're no different in that people have got a little bit of a negative opinion of him.
I'll be the first to say I wasn't overly enamoured with him starting, but if he's going to do that every game, he can start every game for me.
The thing with him is, he's one of those players that, like, you love to watch his effort and his endeavour because he does leave it all out there.
Oh, yeah. You sometimes feel like he's running for the sake of it, though.
Yes, yeah, almost a bit like David Milinkovic when he came on for like one of his sub appearances.
I remember his charging around the pitch and knackering himself out.
Just ran around like a nutter.
He's just a bee in a bottle.
Yeah, but I mean, Honeyman looks like that a little bit sometimes, and I think the criticism is that although he does that, what else does he do?
Well, I mean, my answer to that now is put fucking good corners in.
Well, exactly, and if he's on those set pieces and his delivery is consistent, then you're thinking, well, there is a case to be made for him being in the team.
Definitely.
And if we can look as dangerous as we did from set plays yesterday, then there is cause to put him in the team. So it justifies that, and it makes you think a little bit, think again about him. Whereas before, if you see him in the team, it's like, what does he bring?
Yeah, there's always the groan when he's in there. Sort of
yeah, and he's maybe
I don't think that's necessarily fair, but I think it is complicated with Honeyman. I think people see him more as a League One player, possibly,
and you have to be mindful of the fact that he was a lifelong Sunderland player. It's his first move out of the area.
Yeah.
I think he's our most used substitute. So again,
he comes on in a lot of games, doesn't he? That's
so it's difficult for him to come in and maybe make an impact. And games where we're behind or something like that, how much of an impact can he make? So maybe we need to be a little bit less critical and kind of reassess where we are with him.
I think my opinion on him is after that game, if he plays like that. When he gets his chance, because obviously he's taking his chance there. He rarely starts, doesn't he? Really.
Well, I'd say he's to start on Wednesday night. Fitness allowing.
I'd play him. 100%. If only for his dead balls are great, like free kicks from the halfway line or free kicks from the edge of the area, swinging in corners, whatever. I really thought we looked a threat with that, and I thought that was something where I did feel like we always had a goal in us, which I never felt against Charlton.
No, not at all.
Against Charlton, I never thought we'd score. We could have played all night. We wouldn't have scored, to me. But the way that he's then changed it and brought a couple of other players in, we actually look a threat now going forward. So, yeah, Honeyman's my positive, and I never thought I'd say that, but he really surprised me, and I was really impressed with him.
No, I think that's credit well earned. A couple more I'd just like to touch on, maybe not expand on them as much.
Yeah, go for it.
I think John Terrell's worth a mention.
Oh, certainly. He's just class, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's listened to the podcast we've done since the games have restarted will know that you and I are both fans of Terrell's.
Oh yes.
But I think yesterday, I think yesterday just showed why, if fitness allowing, he should be one of the first names on the team sheet because he was excellent. He really was. On another day, I think he'd score too.
I think he would.
He had that long-range pile driver that was, just tipped over the bar.
I think against lesser teams, either of them goes in. Because, I mean, Sam Johnston's a decent keeper. He did flap at a few things. He wasn't the most, sure of keepers.
he wasn't the most commanding in his area,
No,
was he?
he wasn't, but
It was
he's
a
a
good
bigger
save
name
off
than most of
Sorrell,
them.
but
Yeah,
the strike, and I think the one off the one off De Silva where De Silva squares it to him. If his ball was slightly ahead of Terrell
yeah,
to allow
yeah.
him
He
to
just run
step onto
onto
it,
it. Yeah,
yeah, I think he scores. But it was ever so slightly behind him. But the way that he knitted up play between the midfield base or the
mm.
defensive base of the midfield and our forwards, I think was great. And
He's
when you
definitely
watch,
our best midfielder. And
absolutely,
creative
yeah.
going forward. He's just a dream to watch. And
And when you watch the Middlesbrough game, we were crying out for somebody like that to put a foot on the ball. And
I was so glad he brought him on, but he needed to bring
yeah,
on before that. It was just
way
like
too
10 minutes. But once he
way
got the
too
ball, he
late.
was driving forward and they shit themselves. They were backing
Yeah,
off and backing off, weren't they?
yeah.
Middlesbrough.
So I thought he was very good. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, and maybe another one again. We should speak about Josh McGuinness. I thought he
Yeah,
did very well. I know he came in for some criticism yesterday, but I thought he
I thought that was
again,
unwarranted, in fairness.
yeah,
People
but
are easy to criticise him as well, and I'm not really sure why that is. And maybe it's just because he's a centre forward and he's not got a lot of goals, but look at
no,
what else he does for the team, I
it's
would
just
say.
he's just a role player, and I think he played it very well. I mean, he was instrumental in the second goal, his hold-up play,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, because
laying it back.
that sort of thing doesn't go on stats, does it?
No, I mean,
Because if you
it,
look
it
at
might
he's
it might go on passing
important.
stats, but
Yeah,
it's not.
but
It doesn't end
the
up on the
chest
score
down, and then
sheet.
he lays it back to De Silva, and then we score off that. Without him, that goal's not made. Just like the Birmingham one, where he's won it, got taken out, and Leo then crosses it for Scott. You know, it's. I think McGuinness is well worthy of praise. To be fair,
Yeah, he's establishing himself as the first choice centre forward, isn't he?
I'd certainly have him ahead of Eves because,
Yeah,
again, we've always said this, but I think Eves doesn't understand how to play a one up top.
he doesn't seem to.
McGuinness understands that role much better in my eye.
I had hoped that he might learn from the stoppage in play and just being able to reevaluate what was going wrong for him.
I don't think he can do it.
It doesn't seem like he has. Again, he's had limited game time, so who knows? But
Maybe
certainly McGuinness is earned the shirt for me.
Because there's so many games coming thick and fast. I don't know if maybe McCann would rotate him out, maybe save McGuinness for the home game against Millwall. I don't know. I mean, you can't guess what he's going to do, but it's a lot of games in a short space of time, isn't it? That's the only thing.
I think you can only play the one that's in front of you.
Mm. Yeah.
You can't be thinking in our position. You can't be saying, "Well, I'll save so and so for that game."
Yeah.
I think it'd be a mistake.
Yeah, certainly. But yeah, I think that does our good. So we've had a fair few things to talk about with the good. So we've done Wilkes, Honeyman, and then honourable mentions for Terrell and McGuinness. Mm-hmm. So if you give us 2 seconds, we'll come back with the bad. The bad.
The bad.
The bad. So very bad.
Yeah, there has been some bad.
Right. I know you've picked a player.
Yeah, I felt a little bit harsh in doing it as well, but I've
to be fair, it was top of my list as well, so it wasn't just you thinking about it.
No, I think
that makes you feel any better.
It would be top of a lot of people's lists, I think. Matthew Pennington, of course, didn't have a very good game yesterday. I didn't think he was great against Middlesbrough, if I'm honest. But then
he also had a stinker against Birmingham, didn't he?
Yeah, I think the longer he plays, the more it looks like the decision not to retain Eric Lehigh to offer him, a reasonable
month's pay.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
Whereas the Malik Wilkes decision has been excellent by those in charge.
Yeah.
The one on Lehigh has been spectacularly short-sighted, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Pennington just looks uncomfortable all the time. He looks uncertain of his position. Even like going back to the Birmingham game, doing things as simple as coming out and meeting the ball on the full, to head it away for one of their goals. But yesterday, I think West Brom targeted him
Oh, they did
You know,
massively. As soon as they started getting the ball out to Grzycki, middle of the first half, he had him on toast every time.
yeah.
Him and Pereira when they swapped.
To be fair, in a lot of respects, I think part of the way that our system is put together doesn't afford the fullbacks too much coverage. So
It is very much gung ho going forward, isn't it? When you've got people like, say, Wilkes, and then if you have Scott or Lewis Potter, who's not really akin to going back and defending.
yeah, he's not like your Richard Garcia type where he's going to come back in and
No.
help his fullback out all
No,
the
he's
time.
not. They're not going to do that because they're more flair players, aren't they? And
Yeah.
it's much more forward-minded, which is not necessarily a bad thing when you're scoring the goals, which we are. But it does if you are. I mean, the other thing about Penton, he's not a right back, is he?
No, he just looks uncomfortable. I mean, the one that'll come out on the highlights is that looks awful from yesterday's. You know, as soon as we've scored our second goal, they go 3-2.
Yeah,
Because Pennington's just switched off, and it's a lovely ball inside him. Is it Pereira?
Pereira was unplayable, mate.
Yeah, it was a
he's too good
fantastic
for them.
ball.
Why he's playing for them, I have no idea. He was too good for them. 3 assists in one game, and he's got something like 19 assists all season.
Yeah, you know, it was an unbelievable ball in some ways, but
great defense splitting pass. But he's out of position, and it's just made it easy for him.
He can't allow Grzycki that much time to run inside him, and it's just so easy, you know.
I was so annoyed with that. We'd done the hard work. It was like, right, 2-1, weathered the storm. So it could have been 3 or 4-1 down before half time.
Yeah.
And then Wilkes scores that great goal, and you think, get in, come on. This is what we're talking about. And then 30 seconds later, oh, fuck. Right.
But just not to allow that much space between himself and Reece Burke, it's kind of like, just keep it compact. Don't allow them to get inside you. And of course, that's, he knows Grzycki well. That's all that he wants to do.
How many times have he trained? Well, mind you, when did Pennington come to us?
Last summer.
So
yeah.
he's had 6 months worth of training with.
Yeah, so he knows his game.
So he knows his game, doesn't he?
They've been talking about it before the game, about don't let him inside because his eyes.
Well, he's got no left foot. He's got no left foot, Grzycki, at all. He never did have.
I mean,
he scores with his right, but
he used to say that he could play on both. So
I know he's lying there. When he first played for us in the Premier League, I remember he was out on the left wing, and I was like, "Why is that cunt on the left wing? Because he keeps cutting in and hits it on the right foot. He's just for standing on that left foot."
Yeah, I mean, just for Pennington to allow him to have that chance, after we'd worked so hard to get the equaliser as well, it was just like. And his body language, it stunk as well in a way, because not stunk, but it was like you could tell it was the body language of a player that knew he was having one.
Bereft of confidence, wasn't he?
Yeah, completely.
And I felt sorry for him in many ways, because I think he's been asked to play a position he's really not comfortable in doing.
And and perhaps looking at it, you would think if we had other options, you might think about taking him out.
I mean, I did think about what the other options are, right?
Well, this is what I was coming on to, because
go on.
McCann said after the game that Elder is going to be fine for Wednesday night because he was in a 6-day concussion protocol.
Yes, that's true. So why not bring Leo to the right wing?
Exactly, because he's been in the game and 70 minutes or whatever that he's had since Elder's injury.
Whatever you want to do, yeah.
Yeah, playing left back, he's more than acquitted himself. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Provided a brilliant ball for Wilkes' goal yesterday.
I think he's very much a utility player because he can be in the middle, but he's done well on the left back, hasn't he? When he's slotted in, and
he showed us up against Middlesbrough because they were coming down that side for fun, weren't they?
I was going to say that because Elder wasn't having a stinker, but he was getting done by it's the guy. It was Patrick Roberts. He used to be at Celtic. It was him, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was
Roberts, and then the right back as well. They were overlapping, and they had him each time.
The right back. What was his name? He was fantastic.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
Boro's right back was fantastic.
Yeah, because he went off injured, and they went to him after that.
No,
it was Spence.
Right, Spence,
Degen Spence. And he was overlapping all the time with Roberts.
Yeah, some of his runs from deep were really impressive. He looks a player.
Yeah, he does actually. But he went off injured, didn't he, in the
Yeah.
Middlesbrough game? And that was probably the best thing to happen to us, because Elder was struggling, and as soon as Leo came, and he did, like you say, he shored it up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. He really settled us down. So that would be maybe something that I'd have a look at if you could move him over. And I think if Honeyman is going to get a start, I think in midfield. Terrell arguably should.
Yeah.
Kevin Stewart, I thought had a mixed bag.
I thought it was okay, but again, he's doing these senseless fouls, and he's caught out a little bit.
I think he's given away more free kicks than anyone else in the Championship. I think
there's no need for him to make some of these challenges he's making. Sometimes just stand the man up.
Sometimes
he's play backwards.
Just a little bit rash, and he was badly at fault for their first goal.
Yeah.
Flat so it's kind of like, what I'm saying is you've got two of your positions sorted in midfield, maybe another one up for grabs. Maybe Batty could take it.
I think he rested Batty just because he's played so much.
Yeah, he's played so much and probably been like 5.5, 6 out of 10 in a couple of games. He's not been not been quite at it for me. So do you have an option there to take Pennington out the firing line?
I would.
Low on confidence and put De Silva out there. I don't think you sacrifice too much because he's provided an assist yesterday. Look, defensively, all right. And there's been other occasions this season where he has played right back and done well. I think he came on at right back down at Brentford earlier in the season. We spoke about it last week.
Yeah.
Provided a brilliant assist for Bowen to score there. So he's got some vision coming from deep. So I don't think you sacrifice too much in terms of our quality with him. If you do play him wide, I think that's something that I would look at.
I mean, I've just jotted down what I would do as, if I was McCann. I mean, I might even change the formation, but we know we're not allowed to do that because it's not the Hull City way.
Nope.
4-3-3 or bust.
City DNA, mate.
City DNA. Like I said before, though, the most successful stages of the last 10 years was Bruce playing three fullbacks, centre backs, and going 3-5-2 with Elmo on one wing and Brady on the other. So horses for courses, I suppose. But my team, I don't really see the point of changing the keeper now. I don't think that's going to be very helpful to the player, even though Long has maybe made a couple of mistakes here and there. I don't think it warrants him getting dropped. Although people on Twitter and Facebook seem to be wanting Long to get dropped, and I've seen Mannion's name been mentioned. Ingram's just been ignored. I think.
I think if you knew what you had on the bench, then maybe there'd be an argument for it. But
possibly,
the other two options
they are
that
two
we have
unknown quantities.
Yeah, just.
So I'd go obviously back four. It's 4-3-3 because that's all we're allowed to do. It would be Lopez, Burke, Jordan Device, and then Elder at the back, and then I'd have Honeyman, Batty in the middle with Terrell as a 10 and then Wilkes out wide, McGuinness up top. And then I would actually try Keane Lewis Potter, because why would you not? I think you would try him because Samuelson was lightweight and just fouled people, even though it looked like he couldn't because he was so lightweight. And Scott has been in and out. He's done some good stuff, but he's not had that much of an impact on the games. That sounds a bit daft with him scoring against Birmingham, but I actually don't think he's seen a lot of the ball. No. I don't know what you think about that. I'd just give Keane Lewis Potter a chance, to be fair, because I think it'd be nice to see him.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd do with Lewis Potter, to be honest, because
who else do you play down that left-hand side? Do you play Scott? Do you play Samuelson? Because
your options are limited. I don't think I'd hesitate before I put Samuelson in again on Wednesday at least, because I didn't think he was great. He wasn't in the game, and the few times where he did kind of impose himself on it was in a negative sense. The only thing with Lewis Potter is that I'm looking at it and what's he made, like 1-2 starts in his career. So he's a young lad.
He's got to start somewhere though, mate. I think he'd have done better than Samuelson would have done on the left-hand side.
Possibly. I know he spoke I think it was in one of the programmes for one of the lockdown games, where he was saying that he appreciated the fact that hadn't been necessarily thrust into the first team yet.
Yeah, eased in, so to speak.
Yeah, he's been allowed to learn his game. So with those sorts of things, I'm always a little bit more cautious than I think some other fans are, because I can remember.
I understand the caution. But
Yeah, maybe now's not the time for that because he was impressive when he came on yesterday.
mm,
I think it's probably a toss-up between him and Scott, and I'm
yeah,
glad
it
I'm glad.
probably will go with Scott. In fairness, because Scott got about 2 minutes. It was pointless bringing him on.
Yeah, he should have come on much earlier than he
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
But
It's an 80-minute sub, right, or 75-minute sub rather than a 91.
in a game that open, yeah,
Because
at
he
four,
showed he can score. I mean, Scott looks. I mean, the thing with Scott is he's been out injured for 6 months, so he's going to take time to get back into full swing, isn't he?
yeah. And
Um,
at 4-2 down, arguably, how much impact was he going to have that late?
yeah, it's true.
So I think it's between him and Lewis Potter as to who plays, but
yeah,
I certainly think we're drawing Pennington if McCann sees De Silva as an option at right back. I think that would be a good thing to do.
I agree. I mean, my negative isn't. It is a player, but it's not in the same sense as yours. I'm just gutted that Herbie Kane, having found form for us, 2 free kicks in 2 games, is now out for the season.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of bad news because he did offer a threat, didn't he? Particularly on set pieces. I know we talked about Honeyman's set pieces being good, but none of his. We haven't seen him take free kicks the same way that Herbie Kane has done.
Not in that way.
He's clearly been practicing a lot as Herbie Kane, and obviously he studies his walls and knows what to do because it was 1 under and 1 over, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought McCann. Did you see what McCann had said out after the West Brom game about Kane?
Sort of floated the idea that he might be able to bring him back next year.
Yeah, I got the quote. He says, on reflection with the scan, it's not a nice one for him. We're gutted for Herbie because he's not had luck since he's been here. That's certainly true because he was out for the season twice with us, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He must be the only player to be out for the season twice. We're going to be missing him now, so that's not good news. He's everything we need and everything we like in a player. We'd love to keep him next year, possibly longer if we could. And I know he's played for McCann at Donny, hasn't he?
Yes.
So obviously he's a player that he trusts, and you can kind of see why.
That's big for McCann as well. That's big.
Yeah. He likes signing his players that he knows, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And if he's not going anywhere, then I would take Kane. I mean, I didn't know much about him because he'd not played for that much, and then he's back for the restart. Didn't do an awful lot right against Charlton, but then who did? And then against Birmingham and Boro, I thought he had good games in both of them.
Yeah, he's too well. Birmingham certainly, I think over the course of his 60-65 minutes, he got probably his best showing for us.
Two instances though in both games of real quality from dead ball situations.
I mean, if you thought the free kick against Birmingham was good, like the one against
Middlesbrough
was just
beautiful,
unbelievable. It really was.
To hit it in that postage stamp there.
Yeah, it was
just where the keeper. It was a great noise of the keeper smashing his head against the post as well, trying to save it. Because that was the first shot we'd had as well, wasn't it?
It was, and what a time to respond as well. Because I think if we'd gone any longer into that game without coming back,
they'd have just gone 10 at the back and snuffed us out.
Just the way that it shaped out, up and like we really, really didn't look like scoring. Really
Not
didn't
against
look
Boro,
like
we
scoring.
didn't. No.
No.
It was set pieces with Kane. We always looked dangerous. It was like what Bowen or Grzycki could used to do. Like, looked, if we got one from the outside of the air, we think, hello, could go in this. And that's what you started to think when Kane was putting the ball down.
Yeah.
And that was my negative because I'm gutted that he's not going to be available for the last 5 games or however long's left.
Yeah, it is a big blow. He's just coming into his own.
Honeyman, yeah, he was. I mean, because obviously, the thing is, though, I mean, you look at it, he'll want to have another loan move or somewhere else next year because is he going to get in that Liverpool side?
Wouldn't have thought so.
Because the quality that they've got, if nobody leaves, if they're bringing in
Thiago,
that'd be an unbelievable signing, by the way.
Wouldn't it?
Where did that come from?
Well, he's available. He's apparently told his agent to find him a move to the Premier League. So,
well, I mean, I would love to see him play in the Premier League. In fairness, I don't care if it's Liverpool or whoever it was, but I mean, he's a great player, isn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, if somebody like him is going to Liverpool, and you've still got people like Keita and Henderson and whoever else in midfield, he's not getting in there, is he?
Yeah,
he'd need another season at least.
Not when the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain are, playing limited minutes, and
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
they're looking
Lallana
at
can't
move.
even get in the squad.
Yeah, they're moving. I was just about to say they're going to move him on. So, and it's, the way it's gone for him with City this year. I don't think he wasn't anywhere for the first half of the season, was he? So
No,
has he played enough games to show that he's got
he actually
the
played
necessary
for
quality?
Liverpool, didn't he? Did he play against Villa?
He might have done.
Because when they played the 23s, when they had the World Club Cup.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
he played against Villa. I think anyway.
But it's still not enough to inject him, to put him straight back in, is it? I think
no.
For himself and probably his development, they would look to give him another move. Whether or not we can bring him back probably depends on two things. First of all, it'd be staying in the Championship.
I don't think he'd want to go to League One. But then again, he'd done it with McCann the season before.
That's the
but
thing.
Now he's proved himself. He'd want to go up above that again.
He's done it. Yeah, he's done it at that level. So how much would going back there aid his development? I don't think it would. And then the other thing is wages. If we're only paying $5,000,
then we'd be all right, wouldn't we?
if we don't want to, I'm assuming he's going to be on more than that at Liverpool.
I would have thought. Well, the young. I mean, it's interesting. I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, it depends. I think your clubs like your Chelsea and that sort of stuff, they really have mad youth wages, don't they?
Well, it's a whole other side to Chelsea's business model. You look at the number of players that they have out on loan.
47 at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's something like that last year. It depends. I would love to see him back. Not thinking he's the Messiah and all that, because we haven't seen enough of him to know that. But he's shown enough these last few games to say, yeah, we'll have another look at him.
Definitely. Those were our negatives. Come to the end of that section, so we'll do our numbers. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Right, we're going to do our numbers section. So the last section is where we each pick a number and talk about the relevance of that number to City and the recent games. So,
you should go first for this.
That's very nice of you. My number is 7. And that number is actually the amount of goals we've scored in the last 3 games. Because we had, 3 against Birmingham. We then had 2 against Boro. And then we had 2 against West Brom. So if you'd have said we'd scored 7 goals in 3 games to me after the Charlton game, I'd have taken that 100%.
Because 7 goals all season, I think, after Charlton.
The Charlton game was dog, wasn't it? But actually, they did a number on us, and McCann didn't change it up enough. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results, because 9 out of 10 times it's not going to happen, is it? But the way he's changed it about, and we went really attacking, proper counter-attacking against Birmingham first half was outstanding. Probably one of our best halves of football, I would say, that I've seen us for a long time, without Grzycki and Bowen, when we went 2-0 up, because we could have been 4 up, couldn't we? Birmingham were really bad, but we were very good. And then obviously the second half was a different story. But then Boro 2 moments on it for us. And we actually, neither team, let's be honest, us or Boro looked like scoring. Middlesbrough looked like they were going to shade it possibly till the end, didn't they?
They did. I said at one point that there was only one team scoring.
They did have all of the ball.
We
didn't really do anything with it until we got one chance. But it's making them count. Like we said, possession don't win us games, does it? So goals win us games.
No, Malik Wilkes does.
Malik Wilkes does, indeed. And then obviously against West Brom, I mean, there's a lot of fans, I think, were quite despondent after the game. But I wasn't really, because they're going to go up, aren't they? West Brom.
I would think so now, yeah.
It'd be them and Leeds, maybe Brentford are the only shouts to go up. And, I mean, in my opinion, you won't play another team of that calibre from now until the end of the season. And we still look like we could score 4 or 5 against them. We scored 2, but we could have scored a lot more. That's one of the top 2 teams, and we looked dangerous against them. And that was a big thing for me. So that's why I went for that number. I mean, the other thing is as well, like, they've got 2 very, very, very good players in Pereira and obviously we know what Grzycki can bring, but they've got quality all over the
Charlie
side.
Austin's a great striker.
Yeah,
I mean, just the players that they were bringing off the bench yesterday.
it was a
like,
joke, wasn't it? The embarrassment of Richie's Bilic.
Yeah.
He was losing his Swede about something. I can't remember what it was. It was a free kick. I think he's going mental on the old Slavs.
Yeah, well,
he's going mad.
That's his style, isn't it? But when they were bringing on, like, I mean, even the likes of Chris Brunt.
They brought Chris Brunt on, and then they brought Dean Garner on, and he went and scored after about 2 minutes of being on.
Jake Livermore just to shore things up in midfield.
No.
Like, all right, just rest your club captain against us. It's like, the sheer embarrassment of riches.
That you're bringing a player that was 100% starter for us every time that he played in the Premier League nearly, and he's coming off the bench against the relegation.
Even someone like I say, like Chris Brunt. I mean, he was playing for Chef Wednesday, like him and Stuart Elliott vying for that left wing position for Northern Ireland. Like, 16 years ago, some of our players were still in nappies, I think, when Chris Brunt started his career.
I think he's leaving them at the end of the season.
He is. But even like what I was going to say is, even somebody like him, you think, well, he'd be good in our squad.
He would, yeah.
So, like, to see them coming on was like, Jesus Christ, stop taking the mick.
He's taking Austin off. He's bringing Dean Garner on.
Yeah, and like
he looks good.
Hal Robson-Kanu came on, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
somebody
Welsh international. Yeah,
somebody that we tried to sign when he was, somehow looking like a world beater in the Euros.
I know. What was all that about?
You tell me.
It's ridiculous, wasn't it?
Bad defending. That's what that was about.
Yeah, I think it was, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, I've come away Middlesbrough. I was just thinking, this game's shit. This game's awful. It's rubbish. I hate football.
No, you were thinking even though we'd won, like
until the goal.
No,
I mean.
No, but what I'm saying is, even though we'd won, you're thinking, well, if we play like we did, the fact that we won, the goal we scored, the late win, and the fact it was a win, sort of disguised what was a very poor performance.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, get that.
I mean, they showed a certain amount of doggedness and determination and some defensive grit. There was a couple of big blocks from Device and McGuinness to stick into the game.
Yeah.
Even when Boro looked to be in the ascendancy. So there were positives to take from that point of view. But
I mean, the other thing that I was going to say based on 7 was that we look more dangerous away from home still because we're playing that counter-attacking style, aren't we? Against Boro, it was. Do
you think that has anything to do with the teams that we've played away from home?
I don't know. Maybe because they're not relegation battles there, are they? Birmingham were mid-table and Brom West Brom are on the way up. So I suppose it may be to do with the calibre of opposition, maybe.
Yeah, like even without a crowd, the fact that there has been so much on the games that have been played at the KC, maybe kind of puts added pressure onto the players, and that might have affected the performances. Whereas we Possibly. Go to West Brom, nobody's expecting a result. You can play with a little bit of freedom, can't you?
Yeah, I suppose. Maybe that is something to do with it as well. You could have a point with that, but it's not all doom and gloom for me. I think defending, we need to show something up, and whether it's like you said, taking Penno out the firing line and Elder comes back in and Leo switches to right back, it might show us up a little bit.
I think it's just minor tweaks to the system.
I don't think there's wholesale changes needed, certainly, because there's definitely some promise in there, isn't there? It's nowhere near as depressing as it was after Charlton, because I think we were both proper depressed after that one, weren't we?
How could you not be?
I know. Not a single shot on target apart from Batty's, I think, which was like half an hour in, and that was it.
Yeah.
So that was my number 7, and yours was?
My number's a significantly larger number than yours. It's 183.
And that refers to the amount of players that have nearly signed for us and then didn't, no?
No, it's the number of pounds we're willing to offer per week for signings from next season.
That's what Festus Arthur's on.
No, 183 is the number of days in between our win at Sheffield Wednesday on January the 1st, and then our next win, which was against Middlesbrough, and that was on July the 2nd.
Was.
So
there you
over
go.
half a year in between. I think it's 6 months and a day, or
I mean,
6 months and
COVID
half a
has a lot
day.
to do with that, in fairness, but the
Yeah,
shutdown. But it could have continued in that vein,
it does.
couldn't
But
it?
let's be fair with the players that we had at our disposal when the
Oh yeah,
when the
yeah.
league
When the
stopped.
league suspended, yeah,
You
we
know
were shafted, weren't we?
that, yeah, and the way that we were playing in games, that winless run could have gone on a long time, with or without a shutdown.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it's just, I think the last time that you could count like a large number of days like that in between wins was maybe when we went ages without winning away from home.
Yes, yeah. It wasn't it
Before
then
we
we went to either Ipswich or Norwich.
Well, there's two. That Norwich one was years ago. That was under
2010, I think.
Under Nigel Pearson,
It was,
and
yeah.
I did every single one of those games in which we didn't win that time around. So when we went to Norwich and won that day, that was
That was a beautiful moment.
it was a hell of a day. But no, the one I was thinking of this time around was under Nigel Atkins when we went to Barnsley and we won an absolute dog of a game. Or was it Atkins? It might have been, no, it's Slutsky, I think.
Slutsky.
Slutsky, yeah. Slutsky won an absolute dog of a game. Campbell scored, and it was the scruffiest goal. But I don't know how many days it was in between away wins.
It was a lot though, that one, wasn't it?
It was a lot, yeah, yeah.
I noticed Fraser Campbell was getting on the score sheet for Huddersfield Town.
I know.
I was just gutted to see that.
No need.
It's not fair, really, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. But
It's not right.
That's what happens when you offer players wages that are commensurate with their level of ability. Is that they will sign for your club. People might argue that he's not had the best of seasons with Huddersfield, but
I'd still have him now.
I would, yeah.
So, but yeah, 183 days.
I'd like to say it was worth the wait. It was a very nice moment when Wilkes scored. Like I was jumping around in the living room as if I was at the stadium. Anybody walking past our front room window would have been like, "What is going on there?" Because I was jumping around like a nutter.
I think the only other time that your front room has seen those scenes was when we, as England, put Colombia out on penalties in 2018. I do have fond memories of your front room when we all went round before social distancing existed.
Yeah,
and that was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
That was good memories, but it'll have been possibly on par inside with the England one because it's been so long since we've actually been able to celebrate a City win in the league,
and it was such a massive win.
It was do or die there, wasn't it? Really, because a draw wouldn't have done for us, would it? We would have still been in the bottom three.
It's I mean, we're 4 points ahead now, aren't we?
I'm just looking at the table actually.
If you think about it, I know there's some talk that Wigan's points deduction might not be applied this season.
Yeah, you see, I've seen this because it depends on lots of things, doesn't it?
Yeah. So at the moment, it's if they finish in the relegation zone, or if they finish outside the relegation zone, the points deduction will not be applied, or will be applied.
If they finish in the relegation zone this year, it's for next year, isn't it? So they effectively want them to go down, don't they?
So at the moment, they're on 50 points.
They are, but that could be 38 currently.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it as if Wigan are on 38 because I still think they've got too many points to finish, below Middlesbrough, Barnsley, Luton.
Yeah, I mean that's 2 wins for Boro, which after a good start under Colin, they've lost 2 in a row, which is beautiful for us. But
yeah,
I mean Barnsley and Luton both got walloped, didn't they?
They did, fortunately, because their momentum's been on the rise.
That Luton, was it? Who beat Luton?
Reading, wasn't it?
Reading. Was it 5-0 as well? Yeah. One of their players scored 4. I can't remember who it was, but I was like, Reading were never that kind of team. They were just so poor, I thought. But
they play each other as well tomorrow night.
Barnsley and Luton.
Yeah,
I think that the loser of that is down in my eyes. But if Barnsley win, then that takes them to 44, and that's level with Boro, and Luton then are still on 40.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what sort of result I would want out of that. I don't know what serves us
Really, you'd
best.
want a draw, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Because then
maybe.
if we get something, then you still got the 4-point gap between Barnsley and us. I mean, the other thing is that you look above us. So the table is obviously 24th is Luton with 40 points, but they've got a minus 32 goal difference, and that's huge as well. Barnsley on 41 on 23rd. 22nd is Boro 44. Then us 21st, which is where we left off when the season went away and then came back. We're on 45 points. Huddersfield 46 above us. Charlton 46. Stoke 46. Because Stoke battered Barnsley, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping for a draw on that one as well. But I mean, above them, you've got Birmingham 49, then Wigan 50, and it's 16th down, isn't it? I can't imagine Sheff Wednesday getting dragged into it.
Not at this point, no. I think 8 points is a good enough cushion for them.
If everybody in the bottom half is winning, then maybe they'd have to cause to be worried. But I don't think it's that kind of. I mean, it's a lot of points to stay up, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's one of the largest points totals of the season, of the last few seasons. So it's I think it would be a bit of a stretch for them to be looking at the relegation places.
So if you go from 16th down. There's 3 teams a point above us, all on 46.
Yeah, and there's loads of teams got to go and play each other. I mean, I know we've got Luton.
We've got Wigan as well.
Yeah, Luton have got Barnsley. They've got to play Huddersfield on Friday night as well.
That's another big one there.
Yeah, it's another massive game.
Tell you what, there's some massive games at the bottom, isn't there? I mean, I don't really look at the top of the table because it's not really involving City.
No, I don't. Couldn't give a monkeys.
No, me neither, to be fair. But the particularly around the bottom half, they're so tight, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's tight. It's I think it's one of the more interesting stories. Now that the Premier League's wrapped up and relegation in the Premier League looks like it's.
I mean, Norwich are down, aren't they?
Yeah, done and dusted, really.
I mean, it's one from what Villa, Bournemouth, and Watford, in it, really.
Yeah. Yeah, Bournemouth don't look. They scored a couple of Man United, but
Man United's defence isn't all that. They're very good going forward, aren't they? But I don't think their defence is all that, to be fair. But I mean,
if Barnsley and Wigan play each other on Saturday, so that's another one.
Right, that's another one.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity for them all to drop points, which is good for us. I still think it's 2 or 3 wins that we need, really.
Yeah, I think a couple would do it.
Because if you think of the games we've got left that are teams around us, we've got to play Luton, and we've got to play Wigan. Those are the ones left. Because we've also got Bristol City, Millwall, and Cardiff last game of the season.
Yes,
and they're in playoffs currently.
Yeah.
So if it's already solidified, then it may be. Mentality would be with us, but I can't see Derby slowing down because they're only a win behind Cardiff.
Yeah, and they look good as well.
Millwall are still within a shout of the playoffs. I mean, that'd be the travesty of all time if Millwall got into the playoffs and went up to the Premier League.
But then that's one of the other things that you have to look at it is that Millwall played Boro on Wednesday night.
True.
Then they've got us on the Saturday. Yeah. And I think they've got another game against a relegation rival as well. Huddersfield. They play on the last day of the season.
Yeah, they do. So it's all hotting up down at the bottom.
It is, yeah. It's tighter than a gnat's chuff.
Squeaky bum time, as they say. Tighter than a gnat's chuff. Beautiful.
What a turn of phrase.
It was, wasn't it? I mean, last thing before we wrap up, really. How are you feeling about the Bristol game?
Honestly,
they're managerless because they now don't have. I mean, Hendrickson's gone, hasn't he? So he's not going to come back to bite us. Not that he could do anyway because he was on loan, wasn't he?
Yeah, he wouldn't have played.
And then Johnson, the angry little man that he is. He's such an angry man, isn't he? I know I was angry when I played football on a pitch, but he was something else.
So he's a hero of yours, then, is what you're saying?
Well, to be fair, I mean, I have good mates who are Oldham fans, and they loved him there. That was in League One, but he was hunted quite quickly, and he's been at Bristol a long time though, and not really done a lot with them, has he?
He's always been one of those where it's like they look like they've got promise, and they've never been able to quite convert that on the pitch.
So obviously now they can't go down, and now they can't go up because the playoff is impossible, I think, or virtually impossible on the points. So they've obviously seen fit to get rid, haven't they?
9 points below Cardiff, who beat them, at the weekend.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a mid-table mediocrity for them, which we'd take right now.
Yes.
Yeah. It's strange what you wish for, isn't it?
Yeah, we've gone from the Europa League and sacrificing that for a draw against Stoke to wishing for mid-table mediocrity and
God, to be a City fan, eh?
Yeah, the highs and lows. But no, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get, do you, out of Bristol City? Because I know, like, thinking back years and years, the last time that I can remember where we had a caretaker manager for a midweek game with not a lot to play for, we tonked Mansfield in.
Was it Billy Russell?
Yeah, Boothry Park. So it's strange, isn't it? They could play with freedom and think, right, we've got a point to prove. I mean, I know we've spoken to players about, when managers have been sacked and how they felt about it, and a few of them said that they take it as a personal slight. So there'll be pride on the line as much as anything. I don't know. I think looking at statistics to predict that we would go away from home and win, I think might be a little bit optimistic.
I think you're looking for a point really there, right?
Yeah. So
you'd take it, wouldn't you?
So I will. I'll be optimistic, and I'll say we're going to take a point. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, if it depends how much we can learn about how to defend in 2 days.
Yeah, well, like you say, I think we're both fairly agreeable on the fact that Lopez needs to stay as an emergency fullback, whether that's left or right. I mean, if Elder's going to come back in, which he should, because he did say about the 6-day protocol, he was fuming to go off, wasn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't happy.
Because he knew that he thought he was fine, but again, you can't take chances with these things.
You can't be too careful.
And he'll understand that now. He was just fuming to come off, I think. But obviously he should be back in. And then I think Lopez is right-footed anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it's better fit at right back, and maybe just take the heat off Pennington a bit, because I think it's going to be a situation if he keeps playing him there, and if he keeps getting done by any left wingers, that he's going to make himself out to be even more of a target than he is currently.
Yeah, and I
think it'd be good management from McCann to just put him on the bench for a bit.
Even if it's just for one game, you might need him in future games. So.
Yeah, you might. I mean, Lopez could get injured.
Yeah, but even that, you might have another adjustment to make in midfield where you think, well, our only option now is to put Lopez back in. And do you really want Pennington to have his confidence in his boots because he's been run ragged by a winger every week?
I don't know if there's any call for bringing. I mean, did you? I mean, we could play McLaughlin, but we can't play Fleming, can we?
No.
That I understand, because we've not got permission to do so, have we?
No, we would need our injury situation to get an awful lot worse before we
only in an emergency situation, if we have no fit fullbacks, they'd let us play him.
Yeah, I think it's effective. Maybe not even fullbacks. I think it's
defenders.
You'd need to say we can't even put a square peg in a round hole before we could get to Brandon Fleming,
right.
which is unfortunate. But we knew that when we loaned him out to Bolton.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I did see as well, just to finish off, that there was John Beale left the club.
Yes,
which I just wanted to touch on a bit, which seems a bit of a shame because he was well liked and well rated, I thought.
Yeah, and he's done a very good job of bringing players through into the first team. He's been given the opportunity to have players graduate from the academy, and play in the first team, which I don't necessarily think other academy managers have been able to do that. At least maybe since Peter Taylor took over, we we haven't brought players through readily into the first team. I think, other than
You count on one hand, can't you? Really?
yeah, I think there's maybe Tom Cairney where you could say he's played Tom Cairney and
Kenny even
like
still came from Leeds, didn't he? I mean, it was then with our 23s as it would be
yeah.
then.
So maybe looking at Hull products, you're thinking like lifelong Leeds United fan Liam Cooper, who had pictures of Lucas Radaby and Tony Yeboah on his wall because he loves Leeds, doesn't he?
What rubbish! He went to Mallet. He's all through and through. That lad, his jokes, isn't it?
Just
Connor Townsend was another. He played against us on Sunday.
Yeah,
never really got the opportunity for us.
No, Connor Townsend. Thinking back, likes of Sonny Bradley. I think played a couple of games.
Yeah, he went to Portsmouth, didn't he?
Yeah, and then other than that, you're looking at the players that have come through, and that's been under his watch. So it will be a loss, but then there'll be other. I think looking at the way that players have come through into the first team, and the fact that there is the opportunity for players to do that, I think other academy managers or potential academy managers would look at that and say there's an opportunity for you to enhance your reputation there.
I mean, Andy Dawson is probably a forerunner to replace him. Maybe Richard Naylor's been mentioned as well.
Yeah. John Anderson's been around for quite a long time as well, hasn't he? So we'll see. We don't know the reasons for it yet.
I tell you who I would have, but I think he's been touted for the actual Southend job. Is Craig Fagan?
Craig Fagan, has apparently applied for it.
Fair play to him if he gets it. I want to see him do well.
I hope he does get it. It'd be a hell of an opportunity for him.
He's with their 23s currently, isn't he? So
yeah, and speaking to him,
he clearly cares. He wants to do that, doesn't he? He's dedicated to it,
but very switched on as well.
Oh yeah. So, I think he's very aware of what he did when he was playing Fakes, because he talked about maybe if you make that run, something happens, like not leaving anything on the pitch. He was very quick to say when he was giving young players advice, he would always talk about things that he did when he was playing that maybe somebody like your Messis and Ronaldo, that sort of thing, they won't do it, but look what happens when you actually run yourself into the ground, because not only did Fags have quality, he had the work rate that everybody loved him for, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he said to himself when we talked to him, didn't he? He wants to try and replicate the way he was as a player in many ways. He wants young lads who are coming through to have the same mentality as him, which I think is really good.
Yeah, so fingers crossed that he gets that job. We'll see. We'll see. I mean,
interesting times again at the club.
Maybe we don't need an academy if we're going to be signing under 21 players from the conference all the time. But we'll see.
I've heard good things on Festus.
I've heard good things. I'm just being a little bit flippant with that comment.
I knew you would be, but in fairness to him, I think that everybody that I've seen, particularly I've trawled through Twitter for different Stockport fans' reactions to him going, and all of them say he's too good for us.
Yeah, I mean, again, watched his highlights package on YouTube, and he looks all right. But 21 years old,
young player,
stepping up. It's going to take a little while.
Because he can't play till next season either, can he?
So. No, he can't. There's a very good thread on his strengths and weaknesses posted on Twitter today by Tom Potter, who is at TP Football Scout. If anybody wants to have a look at that,
I'm going to check that out right now.
At TP Football Scout, some heat maps and some video footage of what he felt were Festus Arthur's strengths and weaknesses. Nice balanced look, so nice. Well worth a read.
Yeah, definitely. So highly recommended there, obviously.
Yeah, thanks to Rich at Hull City Data for that. He retweeted that one, so that brought that to my attention.
I think Rich at Hull City Data is somebody we'll keep in touch with and maybe try and get in future episodes. I think that'd be a good chat.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover today.
Yeah.
We'll keep fingers crossed for Bristol on Wednesday.
And toes.
Everything crossed. And yeah, we'll do another episode after the next couple of games. So goodbye for now from both of us.
Take it easy,
and we will speak to you soon.
Cheers.